Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. The whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. Some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try and do the Democrats' work. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein.
Donald Trump is afraid because he is neck deep in the Epstein scandal. Whatever we have already known about Trump and Epstein's connections, his mentions in Epstein's flight logs, his more than 10 contact numbers in Epstein's black book, multiple photos and videos of them together are just the tip of the iceberg. But if you go a little deeper, you'll find a lot more. Jack O'Donnell, former president of the Trump Hotel and Plaza, claimed that Trump and Epstein arrived at the Atlantic City casino around 1:30 a.m. with 3 young women, one of whom was allegedly 19 years old and a top-ranked tennis player. This was the late 1980s, and Trump was warned by the authorities not to bring underage women into the casino. Donald Trump, of course, denies any of this, but his denial doesn't stand much ground when there is proof that he dated a 19-year-old tennis player in the late 1980s when he was 43. Maria Farmer, an artist and one of the first women to accuse Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell of sexual abuse back in 1996, later revealed a disturbing encounter involving U.S. President Donald Trump. The incident occurred in 1995 when Farmer was summoned to Epstein's Manhattan office late at night. She arrived wearing running shorts, and shortly afterward, Trump entered the room dressed in a suit. Maria claimed that during the encounter, Trump repeatedly stared at her legs. Epstein then walked in and told Trump, "No, she's not here for you." After both men left, Farmer said she overheard Trump remark that he thought she was 16 years old. Maria reported this incident to the FBI in 1996, but she did not accuse Trump of any wrongdoing. Her formal accusations were directed solely at Epstein and Maxwell. However, there was one case where accusations were made against both Trump and Epstein at the same time. In April 2016, a woman using the pseudonym Katie Johnson filed a federal lawsuit in Riverside, California, alleging that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein raped her in 1994 when she was 13 years old. She claimed she was held as a sex slave and forced to perform sex acts at Epstein's Manhattan residence. The lawsuit alleged that Trump forced her to engage in lesbian sex acts with another underage girl and threatened her family if she spoke out. This was a pretty big deal, but it flew under the radar as most Trump supporters thought it was just one of the many false cases filed against Trump to tarnish his reputation with no real evidence. Trump knew his supporters thought this way, so he wasn't the least bit afraid when the Epstein case began gaining global attention. Remember, the Miami Herald published its bombshell Epstein expose in 2018, followed by the FBI's arrest of Epstein, the raids on his various properties, and Epstein's eventual and mysterious death, all of which unfolded during Trump's presidency. With both the people and the power on his side, he had little reason to worry. Trump was so confident that he allowed his supporters to turn the Epstein case into a major pawn in his chess match against the so-called deep state.
Unelected deep state operatives. Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption.
Yet, he wasn't confident enough to make the Epstein Files a central issue himself. He avoided promising too much, perhaps because he knew something was off. Donald Trump's fear came to life when Ghislaine Maxwell's family leaked Trump's birthday gift card to Epstein to the Wall Street Journal.
The Wall Street Journal published a piece with this striking headline. Jeffrey Epstein's friends sent him bawdy letters for a 50th birthday album. One was from Donald Trump.
The Journal describes the letter as several lines of typewritten text framed by the hand-drawn outline of a naked woman. The future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist. Trump allegedly signed off with the words, "A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret."
Trump was so furious that he filed a $10 billion lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal and its owner, Rupert Murdoch.
"I told Rupert Murdoch it was a scam, and now I'm going to sue his ass off."
Trump had gotten away earlier with a lot of allegations made against him because there was hardly any evidence. This gift card was assigned for Donald Trump from Ghislaine Maxwell, who, in her own right, is extremely powerful.
Looking at Robert Maxwell around the end of the 1980s or so, he went into business with Eastern Bloc mobsters in a big way. people like Semyon Mogilevich, whose name has come up, for example, like when mainstream media talks about Donald Trump and the Russian mob and all of this stuff, it all goes back to Semyon Mogilevich, but they won't acknowledge that he was a business partner of Robert Maxwell, and you have Donald Trump partying on the Lady Ghislaine, Robert Maxwell's yacht in the same period in the late 80s and all of this stuff. So is it really more of the Maxwell mafia or the Russian mafia, right? There hasn't really been an interest in connecting, those dots, right? And I think it's interesting, too. You look at Donald Trump's reaction to Jeffrey Epstein's arrest. He wants to distance himself. I'm not a fan, right? And then Ghislaine Maxwell gets arrested. I wish her well, he says. And people like that used to be pretty close to this nexus, like Stephen Hoffenberg, say that Trump was much closer to the Maxwell side than the Epstein side.
Just like the gift card, there could be much, much more sinister stuff locked in some safe with Maxwell's family. Trump knows Epstein used to store videos, images, and contacts, all of which are with the FBI right now. But he doesn't know what Maxwell has in store. Ghislaine is leveraging this unfamiliarity to pressure Trump. Within a week of the gift card leak, the Department of Justice met with Ghislaine Maxwell over 2 days, and shortly afterward, she was transferred to a minimum security prison. However, she was subpoenaed by a House Oversight Committee in order to appear for a closed-door deposition. What she will say in the deposition is the least concerning aspect for Trump, but who initially subpoenaed her is the bigger issue. The motion to subpoena Maxwell was introduced by Representative Tim Burchett, a Republican from Tennessee. From the total of 5 Republican committee members, 3 voted in favor of the subpoena. This has largely been a trend amongst the Republicans in both the House and the Senate. Donald Trump is just reaping what he sowed. First, he created his persona of being the outsider, the one who was going to drain the swamp and destroy the deep state. This very persona made Trump extremely popular, and the Republicans who opposed him were left with nothing. In the end, most of the elected Republicans were all Trump supporters, singing the same songs of the supposed deep state.
Yes, we have to.
The administrative state, you really gotta get in there.
That's the deep state for you, yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, no, we gotta do something about it.
And when the Epstein case became a major scandal, it was made into yet another tool by the Republicans to further the agenda of people versus the elites. Eventually, people became increasingly concerned about it, and they should be. Justice for many victims is at stake. Major media outlets and content channels, which primarily supported Trump, covered it nonstop, embedding the issue into the minds of Republicans.
Make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
Everybody cares.
Something changed because they ran on this idea of exposing it all. Once you protect pedophiles, you are the most cockeyed person in the town.
If crimes were committed against children, and we know who was committing crimes against children, those people have to rot in jail.
Not to mention, this was a significant concern for the Democrats as well. So after all those promises, when Trump finally took power, along with the Republicans who capitalized on the Epstein case, the people, and more specifically, Trump's base, were always more likely to be disappointed when the Department of Justice refused to release the Epstein list, claiming no such list exists, and instead releasing altered and unclear CCTV footage of Epstein's cell as proof that he committed self-sabotage. This disappointment turned into outrage and had slowly started to rattle the Republican Party. Donald Trump tried and tried, but he couldn't stop it from reaching the doorsteps of the people who literally hold Trump's administration together. The 218 Republican representatives and 51 senators now had the big task of facing the midterm elections just next year. They can't go around being unpopular amongst the people, unlike Trump, who will be in the office until 2028. The elected Republicans did try to go around the Epstein saga for as long as they could. GOP members on the House Rules Committee refused to vote on Democratic amendments demanding Epstein file releases, effectively paralyzing the chamber. Initially, they even straight up accused the Democrats of making up a mountain of the Epstein issue, but soon realized their blaming and distraction wasn't cutting it. Speaker Mike Johnson had to send the House home a day early for summer recess to avoid floor votes on Epstein-related motions, because he knew that even though they had the majority, the ever-growing pressure from the public could flip a lot of Republicans. Despite numerous measures, a non-binding resolution was still passed, urging the Department of Justice to provide more transparency. Many subpoenas were issued to individuals entangled in this saga, including Maxwell and the Clintons. Even in the Senate, a rarely used federal law known as the Rule of Five was invoked to force the Department of Justice to release the Epstein-related files.
And this morning, I was really proud to join every single one of my Democratic colleagues on the Homeland Committee in invoking a century-old and little-known law known as the Rule of Five to compel the Department of Justice to release the full and complete Epstein files.
However, it's not that easy to release the files. Many of them include the grand jury material, which is prohibited from disclosure of Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure. Also, the House and the Senate have been sent into recess, so the Epstein topic cools down, and when they open back up, the Republicans will no longer have the pressure to vote or go against Trump. Amateurs seek the sun, get eaten. Power stays in the shadows. Just like I said, Donald Trump cannot get away from Epstein. It's impossible. His inevitable fall is what he sold to get into power, and the inevitable fall is getting near each passing day. I may be getting into the territory of conspiracy theories here, but bear with me for a moment. Long before the Epstein saga erupted into a wildfire in July, Elon Musk had already struck the match a month ago. Elon left his Doge department and moved away from Trump. Elon Musk had tweeted that he would donate to the Republican Representative Thomas Massie in the 2026 elections. And since then, Massie had gone on to stand firmly against Trump in the Epstein saga and has teamed up with the Democrat Representative Ro Khanna to force a floor vote on the release of the Epstein files. In all of this saga, Elon has been a silent observer, and he is not alone. There are a few more who have been silently waiting and watching as this entire scandal unfolds. One of them also includes J.D. Vance. Vance was an odd vice president pick, inexperienced, from a state, Ohio, that Trump didn't need to worry about, in sync with the MAGA base, but repellent to many outside that base. Strangely, Musk pledged $45 million per month for 3 months to Trump's campaign, only after Vance was announced as Trump's VP pick. Other tech moguls like Mark Andreessen, Ben Horowitz, Joe Lonsdale, and Doug Leone also began contributing after the pick. Peter Thiel had donated more than $15 million to J.D. Vance in 2022 and has been his friend and work partner for a decade. Peter Thiel is also the guy behind Palantir, deeply involved in controversial government operations, especially around surveillance and immigration enforcement. Donald Trump is volatile, constantly changing, old, and a very impulsive man. Not that great for most of the powerful, wealthy people who are handling a lot of wealth and hungry for more power. But what can they do? The people love him, so they have to be in his good books. But what if they use Trump's popularity, get him elected, put a Trojan horse in his administration, and once everything is well settled, blow the horse up? Musk had swiftly started to rot the US government from within with his Doge shenanigans, and left right on time. Both Starlink and Palantir hold immense crucial government data on public anyways, and their Trojan horse is sitting inside the government with no disturbance. The Epstein saga has just become their breakthrough moment. All they have to do is wait and watch. Now, what I am saying might be complete bullshit. I'm not backing my claims up with anything other than a few coincidences. What I'm saying is pay attention. If the clouds are dark, the chances of rain are high. There are no good players here, and we are not even the pieces in this game of chess. We are the black and white board the game is played upon. That's why I said, pay attention. Also, if you like this video, check out my other videos. They are quite similar in style and substance, and do make sure to share and subscribe.